remember continuously running back to the faucet out front. The next I remember is my mother coming out and being in the hospital with a crying mother. I know now that she knew the signs of type 1 diabetes because less than a year earlier, my 2-year-old sister was diagnosed. I was only 5. A year later, my younger brother was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. For a healthy family with no history of diabetes, this disease had taken control of 3 out of 4 kids' lives in less than 3 years. Since a very young age, I've really known responsibility. I have an amazing family though. With my mother, father, and siblings, we've all helped each other manage our diabetes. I was able to play fast pitch at a very competitive level, but not without the continuous monitoring and the balancing act of a sometimes very unpredictable disease. I can remember having diabetic seizures at a very young age. The loss of control and the tricks the brain plays because it's not receiving the proper energy. These are a few of the scariest moments in my life with diabetes. If life's different pressures and insecurities weren't enough, I had the added bonus of a disease to continuously monitor. Growing up with diabetes, I had always wondered if babies would even be possible for me, if my body would be able to handle all the extra stress. I remember getting pregnant with my first son. I was so scared for my health. I poked my fingers even more than before to make sure I kept my diabetes in control. Today, I am so blessed to have 4 beautiful children. I will never forget the day, though, my husband and I had to take our 16-month-old baby boy into the ER. David had just gotten home from a business trip. I took Blake to him and said, "We need to check his sugars." With tears in my eyes, I had known for at least a day the smell of his urine was a big giveaway to me. I couldn't bring myself to poke his tiny little finger. We had to poke his heel. His blood glucose read 456. We packed up the car and off we went. Upon arrival, I told them, "We are here and my son has type 1 diabetes." I can still remember the first shot I ever had to give him. It killed me. David and I are very lucky to have had 3 other beautiful children after Blake. When our second son was born, we were asked to do a study with him to see if he was a carrier for the gene. I remember the day, years later, getting the envelope in the mail and reading he was not. I had never been happier for him. That left 2 unknowns for us, though. September 28th, 2008. I'd just flown home from Phoenix, Arizona, and I was so excited to see my family. We had all sat down for a family dinner. This would be the last dinner we would ever have with only 2 diabetics at the table. Our son James, 5 years old at the time, had gotten up countless times to use the bathroom in a 30-minute time frame. I looked at David, and we both knew. We sat James down and told him we had to check his sugars. He was in the 400s. I had to grab my phone and step outside. I could only cry. This was so unfair. I cried with my mom, and off we went to the hospital. My heart was broken. I have never seen a stronger kid than James, though. With Blake beside him, he gave him a big hug and told him it would be okay. He said he'd always be there for him and that they would get through this together. Less than a year after James's diagnosis, off he went to camp with Blake. The first thing that James said to us after getting home from camp was, "Guess what, Mom? I can do my own shots." He was 6. Not something I ever wanted to be excited about, but I am so proud. This year in school, the kids were asked to write a poem about themselves. I would like to share with you what my 11-year-old wrote. "The Important Thing About Me" by Blake Conrad. The important thing about me is I have type 1 diabetes. It defines my life. It is true that I have one sister and two brothers. I like to read a lot. My brown hair and my glasses go with my green eyes. I am serious-minded, good at math, and like music, science, and art. I help out my friends in any way I can. I love dogs. My favorite animal is a penguin. But the important thing about me is I have type 1 diabetes. It defines my life. No child should ever be defined by a disease. Every day in this family is a new game. What will affect us today? Kids today are so strong on the outside. I watch my boys take their disease in stride every day. They deal with the struggles of the highs and the lows with a smile on the outside. But if you sit with them and they open up for you, you will learn just how frustrated they are, how mad they get, and how emotionally draining this disease is. There is not a moment that goes by that any one of us would love a break from diabetes and dream that the day this will happen. I know no different in life. There are now 5 type 1 diabetes in my family. I do not ever want to see this number increased. It is time to put an end to type 1 diabetes. I ask you tonight to give generously so Blake and James will know the difference and have the chance to be free from this disease. It is time to unmask the cure.
All right, with that being said, it's time for a very